Hey, New World fans. Uh, Today, uh, February 8th, 2023, New World has launched their leaderboards. And I thought I would put together a quick video just to kind of show where to find those, what leaderboards that they've come out with, and then kind of discuss some of the things we're seeing talked about on the forums, as well as, give my opinion for whatever that's worth. So we'll start out with, we'll hit escape. And to get to the leaderboards, you come up under modes and leaderboards. And, I have seen some discussions if you actually watch the streamer Baggins. He talks about that, on the PTR, they actually complained about how you get to the leaderboards is one of the first things that came up. It's like, why is it here under modes and to find it? This doesn't bother me. They had to put them somewhere, but it is something that was talked about. So it's just one of those interesting things. So as we can see here, here's the initial look of what the leaderboards looks like. And as you can see currently, they're tracking mutated expeditions, faction wars, versus environment, versus players, and trade skills. So, I'm going to click into mutated expeditions, and interestingly, we don't see anything here. I did see stuff this morning, so it's interesting why there's not. So let me go back in. Have they turned them off already, and I'm not aware of it? That's interesting. So, there's a filter here, all territories, and I do have all territories. And not seeing anything on mutated expeditions. Okay, so, I'm not currently ranked, which is true. I haven't run any expeditions since it was launched last night. But it is interesting that there's nothing here. You can see they're tracked quarterly for that. So, interesting. So I guess we'll move on to the faction wars. So under faction wars, you can see that here we've got different views you can look at. We can look at which factions have governed the longest, governing streak. Now obviously they just released today, so some of these things are not filled in right now, score, so forth. But we can see as of today here on Valhalla server, we currently have 7 Syndicate territories, 4 Covenant, and 1 Marauders. We start looking at wins. You can see there's none because, obviously it just released today. So tonight after the wars run, there should be some updates here. Again, same thing with attacker wins and attacker defends. Obviously, since there's no wars run, you won't see some of these others filled in. So some of my thoughts on this particular piece is, if you've tried to get into a war and you're not in one of the companies that does a lot of PvPing and warring, and you're just a solo player. Me myself, I'm in a company by myself. I play solo, or I play with my wife. I do group finder. So getting into wars is not easy for me. As a matter of fact, I've only been in one war. I was in one. We won, defending. And so, what I see happening here is when you start seeing these stats that they're starting to put on these leaderboards, this is just going to become another tool that groups are going to use to not bring people in. And so, I asked the question, how can I, start getting better and improve my PvP skills, in wars if I can't get in a war? So, to me, this has become another tool that will be used for keeping people out. I'm not a fan of it, but, that's my view of how this will work. And if we look up at the top, it looks like, they do have one, so you can look at company. Here's my company, Harsh Reality. Obviously, I haven't had any wars, and, as a solo company, I can't even do wars. And then we can see, my individual skill, scores if I got into any wars. I'll try to get into one tonight. Again, probably won't. I'm trying to get into one tonight and tomorrow. Maybe if I get in and get some updates on some of these data, I'll put another video out to kind of show some of that. But that's what the faction war looks like. And then we'll come over here and we'll do versus environment. And so, here it talks about invasions. Evasions are a little easier to get into, at least on my server, because there's not as many people been interested in those lately. They've kind of all migrated to the war mentality. So, it's a little easier to get in and do an invasion. I did one here not too long ago. Matter of fact, to some degree, it's getting a little sad because some of these invasions are going off with not even having all the people that they can have in the invasion. So it's making it a little harder to beat back the corruption when you don't have a full team defending against the invasion. And you'll notice here it looks like you can do monthly and quarterly. Looking at the filters, again, there's several different filters here. You can filter it by friends, by company. Then, you have score, wins, kills, kill, death ratio, so on and so forth. Looks like we also have trials for the Siren Queen. So it looks like some folks here have done a couple of Siren Queens today. T-Bot, it's actually, I was previously in a company, and he was in that same company. Neither one of us are in that company anymore. He's a governor of his own company now. He decided to start a PvP company, so it's interesting to see him there. Here we see, I never can say that one of the other trials, and you can see, it looks like, wow, this group's run it 6 times. What craziness! And then we look at the pools, and it doesn't appear anybody's run that one. And then there's doing corruption breaches. And so if you go out and do corruption breaches, as we can see somebody's, out just running corruption breaches. And I guess to a degree, this brings up another point about the whole idea of leaderboards is, I actually, have a job, work my normal 8-hour day, if not more, according to how my job's going. And so, I can't spend all day on playing. And so you're going to have these folks that, they just have the ability to play all day long, and they're going to run these scores up. So you're never, having the ability to win some of these rewards. Here in case, they're doing some armor skins, and I think it's for the top 3 or top 5 people can win, or wait a minute, no, in this case, top 10, top 50. It actually tells you if I look here. And so, chances of me getting in the top 50 is probably pretty slim, though, the numbers are pretty low right now. But again, they just released last night. And so these are going to go up quickly as you have people who are spending all day on the server just running around and doing these things. So I'm going to come back over on the trials, and you see the same thing here. We can see there's a top 10 and a top 50 this quarter. And if I come up to invasions, it looks like they're the same thing. If I come back to faction wars, notice on faction wars, there is no actual rewards for doing a faction war. And if I come over to mutated expeditions, there's no rewards for those either. So we'll come back over quarterly player. Again, it doesn't show that there's any rewards, but this is so open world PvP, capturing control point. So going to forts, let's go capture a fort. So we can see that Lord Metteron here has already captured 19 forts today. Again, it's another one of those scenarios where those who have the time are going to get up on the leaderboards, and those who can't play as much don't have a chance to make the leaderboards. Again, doesn't appear there's any particular rewards for this one, so that's fine. Influence earned. So we can. This is more along people who are doing the PvP faction missions, so they're gaining influence doing that. So we can see the people are doing that. Now notice in this case there is some rewards. So if I go back up to capture point or forts, no reward. Influence earned doing PvP missions. You have rewards for the top 10 and top 50. And so then we have outpost rush. Come here and I can see score. It doesn't look like there's any rewards. We can see, the points have been scored so far today. I'm actually surprised it's not higher than that. Wins. We can see Rufus has won 12 outpost rush today. Even on a weekend when I'm not working, I don't do 12 outpost rush. I think usually my max is around 4 before I can't stand it anymore. Roof, really good PvPer on our server, and really good outpost rush player. Played with him quite a bit. Player kills. So we can see who's killed the most people in outpost rush so far today. Again, this is quarterly, and it looks like they've got a breakdown by faction on some things too. But Outpost Rush doesn't have anything faction-wise, but we do have it for open world PvP. So I'm gonna come back to individual. Kill death ratio. Basically, how many times do you die versus how many people you killed. Honestly, one of the biggest things right now that's happening in Outpost Rush, if you haven't run them, is the amount of people running around with muskets. There's supposedly some bugs with musket right now, and I say supposedly because I think musket's one of the most aggravating weapons to use, so I refuse to even use it. I've got mine leveled up to level 20 just because I wanted all my weapons leveled, but I hate using a musket. I think it's god awful. But in Outpost Rush, because of the fact that you can sit so far away and just ping people and kill them without having anybody even coming close to hurting you. I mean, it's a great weapon for Outpost Rush, or terrible weapons according to how you look at it. We can look and see who's been doing healing, and now we see Rufus is back here, so that's where he's making his points. Is he's a healer coming in and doing massive healing. Over twice as much as anybody else. NPC kills. Hey, you want to run around killing the wolves? Looks like Crazy Larry has killed 128 of the wolves in Outpost Rush. So there is no rewards for it. So hey, if you want to be on the leaderboard, not getting a reward, go kill a bunch of wolves in Outpost Rush. Resources contributed. Looks like Crazy Larry might actually be one of those players who also likes to just do building instead of going around killing. So maybe that's why he's killed so many players. So let me get out real quick and come back in just so I can move. Because you gotta love that. So we'll come back over here. And so we can see that he's contributed, a little more resources than second place. So he's probably the builder. He's not doing so much killing as he's running around building during OPR. And then we can see damage dealt. But saying that, we can see that Crazy Larry's got a lot of damage dealt. We've got that as well showing here. Then we've got arenas, your 3 versus 3 arenas list here. This one in my opinion, is going to be exploited beyond belief. Uh, the reality is, there's PvP teams. They put together a complete versus three team. They come in together. They hit this up, and they're just going to win. I mean, they're coordinated. They've got a healer on the team. Right now, if you join a PvP or three versus three uh, by yourself, you know, a high percentage of the time you end up on a team with no healer. You go up against a pre-built team with a healer and two other players. You're probably going to get slaughtered. Again, I'm not that great of a PvP player, so I go into three versus three sometimes just to get the gypsum, and sometimes just to aggravate the players who think three versus three is great. I just like to go aggravate them and annoy them because I'm not that good, but it's just fun to annoy them sometimes, and I do that. We see win-loss ratios, so looks like Manny, 7-1. So and we see Straw Hat Rick 7-1. Okay, there's a good chance that those two were going in together. I see a couple of 5-1s, and maybe they were going in together to do that. We can start, how many kills, and so you can just see the various pieces they have here. Looks like, we do have monthly, weekly, and quarterly on this one. And you also have it supposedly by faction, but you click on it, it tells you it's not tracked by faction, so why did it let me click on it? So there's probably still a few little bugs in this as well. I know that's hard to imagine if you played New World, but it's there. So the next thing we have here is talks about trade skills, and it looks like it's only quarterly, but it's really about crafting legendaries. And so, again, there's no rewards for this, so it's just about getting your name on the leaderboard. And so, in this case, we can see, on the arcane, it looks like Cares has, crafted 5 legendary items today. If I go to armoring, looks like it hasn't changed since this morning, but Dotar, when I was on this morning before work, he had crafted 32, and looks like he's still sitting at 32. Just to show, let's see if I can find it. Oh, wait a minute, this is armoring. Never mind. Let me go down to weaponsmithing. And, the top's 9. But, hey, there's Leslie. That's me. Just to see how it worked this morning, I did go pull one of the winter festival 600 weapon crafting recipes. And just crafted a 600 weapon, so I was guaranteed to get a 600 just so I could pop up on the list, just because I thought it was interesting. Again, there's no rewards. It's not really going to matter. Oh, and I just noticed it does show me down at the bottom. Even if I don't look at the list, I can see where I'm at. So, and it looks like they have monthly and quarterly on this one. You got fishing for those who like to fish. Go and catch some legendary fish to get on this list. Engineering, crafting legendary engineering items. And so, really, that's the overview of what is out there so far on the leaderboards. I'm sure there'll be some updates. They have talked about that there'll be more coming in, and there'll probably be more rewards, and there'll be more finer detail on some of the things, and that's all well and good. I've seen a lot of feedback on the forums. A lot of people saying, hey, this is going to kill the game. If you've been around MMOs for a long time, there's always people on the forums that every new thing that comes out is going to kill the game. So it's always interesting. I played a game called DDO for over 15 years, and and for at least 13 of them, that game was dying, according to the forums. And it's still going today, and I haven't played it in, I guess over a year now, and it's still going, so I don't think it's dying yet, but, if you listen to the forums, every MMO is dying, and this is the death knell, and so, leaderboards are the death knell, according to some people. But I do see, this becoming some of these things, like I said, the mutations. I'm sad that, like I said this morning, I was looking and there were some here, but they're not there now. So I don't know what happened on the mutations. But I can see that in the war just giving more ammo to exclude people from running mutated expeditions or wars. When we've seen Group Finder come out, you can show in Group Finder that, hey, I've got a high enough gear score. You can see what my stats are when I join. You can see what weapons I joined with. But how, a high percentage of the people want you to link. Hey, link your gear. I want to see your gear, da-da-da. And, I personally don't play that game. I don't believe in it. Either you're wanting to take people and try to run it or you're not. I don't play I have to be the best, or the most meta layout right now to win something. As an example, last night I tried to join a mutated Laz, and the person didn't have link on their group finder, and so I clicked on it, and then they send me a message, link gear, and my response is I don't link gear. I think it's stupid for the easiest expedition in the game. Good luck. That was my response. And if you've done mutated Laz, it is the easiest, probably level 10 M10 mutation in the game. There's multiple ways to kill it, and it's just crazy that people are so hung up on meta or their thought of how to beat it. Now, with that said, I was going in with a hammer-based heavy build, very capable, of beating Laz. I wasn't trying to run in, and if we go look right now, my character, I'm set up as a mage. I wasn't trying to go in as a mage. I was going in as a heavy DPS, and I've successfully run many M10 golds with that build. But, it is what it is. People are going to be, we'll go with selective. There's other words you could put in there that's not quite as nice, and it happens. And so I think, unfortunately, I think some of these leaderboards are going to lead to some of those same kinds of things. If you've been an outpost rush and you've got, 15 people, shooting at you, jumping at you, da-da-da, and then you die, and then you get this one guy who's doing the teabag on you. It's like, I got hit from 15 different directions. How do you think you were the guy that killed me? It's hilarious. Again, I'm a more mature player than been playing for a long time, so I think all that stuff is silly to start with. So I'm not going to do it. But anyway, thank you for listening to my rant, and I hope you do enjoy the leaderboards, and I hope I'm wrong on some of my theories on how these tools will get used. That would be great, but I've seen it in other games, and I don't like how it's going to probably happen, but we'll see. And just let me know if you have any comments or thoughts, or if there's any videos that you would like me to try to put together that I don't have out on the site. And thanks again.